I'm Jamz Supernova, and this is my podcast, Between the Lines. It's where we get to explore the craft of songwriting and the life experiences that can shape a song's theme. And we have a very special guest. Top of my list when this idea of the podcast was just like a little idea in my brain, and we finally managed to get a British gem, a South East London legend, and one of the most important voices of, I'm going to say my generation.
Beautiful.
Because I genuinely feel that it's the esteemed musician and poet, Kae Tempest.
Thank you for having me, Jamz. Thank you so much for having me. I'm
honestly,
excited.
yeah, I'm so gassed, and I said off air, but I'm a little bit nervous as well, because I feel like I was trying to like put into words like how long I would say that I've been aware of you and known of you, and it would go back to like being a teenager, and living in South East London, and being like 14 years old, and I had like my uncle and my aunt were really into UK hip hop, and they'd go like to the New Crossing, you know, the Goldsmiths, they'd go to Brixton Jam, Hootenannies, all those sort of places, like a lot of open mic nights, and I remember them showing, and on a Friday night we'd go to their house, me and my brother, and they'd be smoking and drinking, and we'd just be chilling. You know, we always get a takeaway, so that was the ritual every Friday night, and we play music. And then they show me this like grainy like footage of you performing in a pub.
Yeah, all of them places, that's where I was. That's what I was doing.
They were probably there as well, following you around.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Whenever I have contact with people that were there at that time, it was such a special time, because it was before kind of YouTube or online stuff, really. It was just happening it was just happening, and it was so alive and exciting and important for me at the time as well. It was like, that was where lyricism lived. That's where like you could listen on your headphones to some album from like New York, but then the fact that I could just go down to Brixton and it was just like packed full of rappers, and you stand outside and you just be trading your bars with people. It was electrifying, and it was such a good training. Yeah. And I still have so much love for everybody that was there. And it's like a little secret, you know, because
it is. It's an underground
if you weren't there,
current.
You don't know.
Yeah, and they don't happen as often as they used to. Like, you know, open mic nights are not what they were. And like you said, there was a community of people.
Yeah.
And did you feel like you had to prepare, like week in, week out, like go with the best bars?
Yeah, like what I loved about it was that when I was writing a bar, like I couldn't wait to get to the end of it, just so that I'd have it at the next cypher or the next open mic. Like I'd spend so long writing, like your handwriting it's connected to memory. So by the time I used to write in my notebook, still do, so by the time I get to the end of the lyric, it's already gone in. Yeah. And like the discipline that it teaches you to come to the session with, well, like all of your bars are in your head. Like that's how it is. You carry it all in your head. You've got to be ready at any point to just jump in when you can. Yeah, yeah. Because
you can't be like, hold on 1 second, let me just get my notebook out. Yeah.
But then when I started doing like spoken word and poetry and all that kind of stuff, the fact that I had hours of material memorized, other people were like, getting out their thing and like looking at it, and it's like it puts something between you and the audience. If you're looking at a page, if you're reading, you're in a different headspace than if you can just rhyme from the heart. And that's how I learned all that stuff. It's musical. It's the same way a musician would commit like to memory a particular kind of freestyling or playing of the instrument. It's a very different kind of muscle.
Yeah. And I was going to ask actually, later on in the conversation, but it feels quite fitting to put in now.
Jamz, let's go.
Because you sit in so many different, realms. So we've got the music realm, we've got literature, writing books and being a published author, and then the theatre space as well. Was there different rules in each spaces that you kind of had to adapt and learn? Because if I go to like an author thing with my mum, I'm like, I don't even know what everyone's talking about here. She might come to a music thing and be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like the different industries have got different like cultural connotations, the way that it all works. In each particular thing I had to learn and discover, like from the outside looking in to all of these different worlds. But what I can definitely say is that my foundation in music and in the musicality of my poetics is what stood me in good stead in all of those places. I feel like if I hadn't spent the first 10 years of like my creative life rhyming, I wouldn't have this bedrock of understanding about meter, rhythm, flow, like the captivating like property of language live. And it it made everything feel accessible in a way, because I had the keys to language because of what I learned through like hip hop poetics, basically.
Tell me what happened when you saw Wu-Tang and you were front of the round for the lyrics. You know, you're standing in front of Wu-Tang and it's the happiest you've ever been, and everything changed in that moment.
Yeah, I used to go and see as many rappers as I could, and I was underage. But what would happen is I would wait until everyone had gone in, and I would just be chatting to the bouncers at Brixton Academy, or at like what is now Electric in Brixton, or anywhere, Hammersmith Apollo, like any of them places, like the places where people are. And then I would stand there all night, just chatting to the bouncers, rapping, like doing my little 12 bars or my 60, and then eventually they would let me in. Like, they would let me in because I'd be like, I'm not here to drink, I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here for the music. And they would see that it was real. And eventually I would get in, and I'd always just get to the front, always, no problem, get to the front. Like if I was with people and they weren't on that, I would just like, sorry, see you after kind of vibe. And then I would go to the front, and it was like, for me, it was an education, it was kind of spiritual, it was very powerful experiences. And a couple of times, I mean, this is the time that I'm talking about in that song, I was watching Wu-Tang, and I got, you know, after a show sometimes they get people up from the audience, and because I knew all the words to everything, and so they got me up onto the stage, you know, assigned female or whatever at the time, like they get the girls up or whatever, but I was like, okay, if that's how I'm going to get close to you, then fine, I'll just do that. So there's all these girls on stage, and then there's me, I was just at the back, and I was with Capadonna, Master Killer and Inspector Deck were just at the back, everyone else was at the front, like, you know, RZA and everyone with all the girls dancing. And I was just like, I remember that like Capadonna was just there, and I just started rhyming at him, and he gave me his attention. He gave me his attention. Like on stage, at the end of his show, he turned to me and he gave me his attention. And it was like the feeling that went through me of like, this is possible. It's possible to believe that I have something. Because I loved Capadonna. I loved him. He was like the unsung hero, but for me, even just thinking about it now, it makes me feel like I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. Like, I feel this like feeling. And then Inspector Deck, I was talking to him. I thought everything was going to change. I was like, that's it now.
You met Wu-Tang.
I was like, what did I expect was going to happen?
Yeah.
I don't know. That they suddenly...
deal tomorrow.
What did I think was going to happen? I don't know. I thought everything was going to be different, but obviously nothing was. But
something changed in you.
Something changed in me. And I will never forget it. And I always think of that when I meet somebody, say we're loading out of a venue and somebody comes up and they're like, can I show you my bars? And because you think what you're doing is you want the person to know how important they've been, but it's not about the person. It's actually about the experience you've had. And there's a kind of affirmation that you need to have with your own spirit, that this important moment that was the making of you, you need to somehow like complete this cycle. And I feel like I understand the importance of just stopping and just being there. There's nothing that I can give in terms of like a record deal, but just to give presence and to acknowledge somebody else's creativity it's a profound moment, especially for a young poet or a young lyricist, a young rapper, to just one of their, you know, formative teachers to even see you.
Yeah.
And to see what their lyrics have done so far away from where they're from and where they began. Just some kid in Hammersmith being like, it was like a kind of reset or a reminder or just an affirmation. I just felt 100 foot tall after that, you know. And
I feel like, you know, with where we are, the times that we are in, we don't talk about how much. It's not always cool to talk about how much you wanted it. You know, how much you wanted to make it, because it feels so accessible because of if you go on Instagram, you can do a video, you know, you can be seen. Doesn't mean you're always going to be seen by the people that you intentionally choose to be, but we don't talk about like the idea of like wanting it and the thing that you did the things. You went to the open mic nights, you went to the shows, you spoke to bouncers, like and so something in you wanted this career. Really?
I was obsessed. Like, I was crazy about it. I could not stop for one day thinking about lyricism, writing lyrics. I used to go up to strangers, used to sit on night buses, used to sit on trains and just like chat to people and be like, you know, do you like lyrics? Just start rapping at them. But I had some amazing experiences that way. I met some people. This one guy had just come out of jail, and he'd just come out. He was on the train, and I shared my lyric with him, and we just had this amazing conversation about his life and about his fears. About now he was out. He actually didn't know if he was going to be able to participate in life the way that he had been dreaming of. This is like an older guy, and I was like a 15-year-old kid, like. It was like a portal opened between people that are so far apart, and the way I experienced the world was like everything felt so insubstantial, so fake, so unreal, and creativity felt so real, and rhyming and lyrics and like expression, it took away all the stuff that didn't make any sense to me, and it brought me closer, like heart to heart,
to people,
which is what I needed, because the rest of it just made me feel like everything else just felt like scary. Like the way the world operated, it was terrifying. But then a musical connection or a creative connection, it was like a different world, and I could escape all the things that were difficult, problematic, painful, and just go into this place of just like pure expression. And what you're saying about wanting it, I'll tell you this story, Jamz. You'll like this. One night I was rapping at, I think it was Rhythm Factory, and Scheme, who's a rapper from Lewisham, was like hosting this night, and because I knew him from Dill Real or Lewisham or whatever, he let me on the mic. Roots Manuva was there that night, and I got on the mic and I was just like, I just let it all out. I was like, right, this is it. Every night it was like, this is it. This is my chance. This is happening. And then Roots Manuva was like, come to the studio. Like he liked what I was doing, so I went to his studio. And I was like, this is it. It's like, you know, it's going to happen now. And he said to me, you think you're ready now? He was like, you need to put 10 years in from when you think you're ready before you're ready.
Wow.
And I was expecting to go in there and he's like, yeah, here's a record deal. Do you know what I mean? Come on tour. So I was like, no, that's not, like, what's he talking about? And part of me was like upset, like my ego was hurt or something. And then I was 18 when that happened. And I was 28 when Brand New Ancients was touring and Everybody Down came out. And I just had this moment when it came out where I was like, he was right.
He was right.
He was absolutely right. Because you need to put in the time of just building up the foundation, making sure it's all like, it's not just about thinking you're ready or wanting it. It's about developing the craft.
Yeah, which nobody at the beginning wants to hear that. Let's be real, because I've been like, you're a hater, man. Like, Roots, that's for you. That happened to you, you know. But they're not, because they've been through it, and it is true. It is craft.
You don't see the wisdom in something until you felt it yourself. Like, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I remember Ty, rest in peace, Ty. Like back in the day, outside Dill Real, it was me. I used to be in this crew called Ital with Quake Bass and Confucius, and we were like ready. We were 16. Like we're gonna like change the world. Like, we literally wanted to save the world. That was what we wanted to do. And then just small aspirations. We were like, but then Ty, the three of us were sat there. He said, "You don't know somebody till you fought them." I was like, that was a mad thing to say, but like actually, like as you get older, I think I realise what you're saying. You're like, if you lot are going to be strong together, you need to go through more life together. Like, if you're going to really hold this thing, it's a lifelong journey.
Can that be the same said for yourself? You have to fight yourself in the journey, or come head to head with yourself.
I mean, that's very deep, because if you don't know until you've been through the struggle to survive, into, like, with yourself. That's very deep, Jamz.
Because that's well, 20 years later, another milestone, and we're here, which is the album self-titled, brand new album, and I chose "Stand on the Line," which is the opening track. And I always think, am I like, I listen to music all the time, and I always get drawn back to the opening track of an album because I listen to an album from start to finish. And sometimes I'm like, no, go a bit deeper. You must find another song that's your favourite song, and I'll go a bit deeper. But I think it's because the first song is always the first connection to a song without and a project, without thinking, without overthinking. And then when you start getting into the album, you might start overthinking, start analysing, So the first track I always hear is normally the one that I have an inclination to go for. So I wanted to start with the chorus. I stand on the line that goes back to the dawn of my kind, before that to the dawn of all time, that extends to the end of it all, where it begins again. I love the imagery of you stand, like how I see it is like it's like a bit Star Warsy, or you're on a line and there's like a light going through you, but the light is infinite. It's infinity. Where did that come from?
Wow, it's so interesting to hear your take on that. Is so before going out on stage, I have like developed this kind of mode of refocusing my attention, which is that I visualize myself on this line. I put myself on the line. I literally put myself on it. I draw the energy up from beneath the earth. And I think about all of the people who have ever made music that's inspired me, who've ever spoken text like out loud in public that has reached me. And I put them all on that line behind me, and I feel them charging up from beneath and then out into my back. Like I feel the light. It's really interesting you say about the light. I feel it charging all my back, and then I can open my chest and I can transmit. Because I have received, I can transmit. And then if I do that correctly and I take their charge on and I root myself on that line, then I can then transmit, and somebody else will feel and connect, and somebody else will stand on that line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like this thing about creativity being generative and giving, and it's not about me. It's not about me going out there. I don't have to have nerves. It's about what I have received from creativity, which is abundant. It saved my life. So then if I let go of myself and get myself out of the way and I stand on that line, I can be infinitely powerful. I can, because it's not about me.
Yeah.
And the expectations and the nerves and the like, what are they here for? What do they want me to do? Like, oh no, are they hating it? It's just, it evaporates, because it reminds you, it takes you back to the source, and it, so when with that lyric, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I stand on this line that goes back. It's a reminder, it's an affirmation.
And how did you get to that? Like, did someone the idea of the practice of it and it being a tool to take yourself out of your own self's way? How did you get to that?
It's just the way that I experience time is like simultaneous, right? So I'm from London, and when you're from a big city, you walk around and you're walking in the footsteps of a lot of history. So many people have been here. So many things have happened. I'm from South London. There's a lot of history there. I don't know it, but I can feel it.
Yeah.
I feel like once something's happened, it happens forever. And that's just always how I've experienced things. And like, even if I just like look up sometimes when I'm walking around, I think, I was even in Deptford at High Street like 2 nights ago. I looked up, there was like a derelict building and then like a massive ornamental swan on top of a roof. And like, there's just stuff happening all the time.
Yeah.
So like, there's that going on, which is like, it's all here. And then I think maybe when I did some work like touring in theatre, I was at the Royal Court doing a poetry I was like telling poems from one of my books that came out like 10 years ago. It was Hold Your Own. And I went out onto that stage and I thought, like, how many words have been spoken in this place? Like, how many people have made... I was thinking about Sarah Kane. I was thinking about, like, Samuel Beckett. I was thinking about these writers and their words. And I asked them to power me up, to take away my nerves. And I asked them to, like, receive my spirit as... because I have been so inspired by them. To receive this as... like my gratitude. And it was such a powerful experience, and it transformed my nervousness into like gratitude.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it began there, but that was like 10 years ago. And then I've just kind of I kind of go back into that place whenever I feel myself like moving too far into worrying about me. Like, what am I going to do on stage? Am I capable? Am I too tired? It's not about me. It's like you have to go back to the place of the words. And when I've worked with actors, sometimes on my last play, Paradise, I was talking to some of the actors and I would say these things to them, and they would be so moved by it that I realised that it wasn't like a common like realisation. I realised that, maybe that's just something that is useful for people to hear.
100%. I think I'm thinking tonight I'm DJing in Paris, and I've been thinking about the set all week. I've been, and I can get somewhere. I can get in my head if that person hates it or that person's not enjoying it. What do they want to hear? Am I going too hard? Am I going too slow?
Yeah.
And to just for me to hear that as somebody that is a worrier and nervous and overthinker, to get out of my own way because it's just a vessel.
So then tonight, before you go up, just put yourself on that line and allow yourself to think about, really feel like the people whose music has just saved your life, moved you, and just they're with you. And actually, everybody wants this thing to be a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And like, it's an abundant spirit, music, isn't it? So it's like, I wonder if it will lift you, because it helps me to just switch off from the nerves and just get into the place of like, just get back into a place of play.
Yeah, play, yeah. And that's something that's been coming up so much in the podcast, be like play, to be into flow state and to go to that place, whether it's when you're writing or when you're performing. So something like this is something that you've obviously, you thought about it 10 years ago. You thought about it, but you've committed it to the song, in 2025. But where would that happen then? Would you be like sitting at a desk and you'd be like, oh, do you remember I thought about that? Let me write this down here.
No.
Tell me the process.
We're in the studio. The way it works is that I like to write in the moment, in the studio, like as we make the music, as the song comes to life, I'm responding in real time. And then there was just something about like the gravity of the music, like how big I wanted to make this big song.
It's anthemic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. And
like kicking the door kind of.
Yeah. It's interesting what you say about the opening track, because it's like you're so intentional about what you're setting up in that moment. Like the first track is really important. It's like, it's you're opening this thing and being like, ready, let's go. But then I think probably because it's just been on my mind, this thing about the line, because I've been touring, because I was working with actors, like I say, I was having these conversations with the actors in my play, and it starts to kind of bubble up. Things that you've always thought, they kind of like work their way up, and then you're in the studio, you're writing. I was thinking about the verses, telling my story, and it just like, I just saw it. I saw it. And also this thing about the eternal experience of genderqueer people. This is not a new, it's a kind of double play, because as well as it being about all of the inspiration I've received from music and from literature, it's also about reminding myself out loud that we have always been here. Yeah. And I am close to a whole like unnameable, like limitless community of people. And something in my atoms is a direct descendant of something in theirs, and there's power. Yeah. There's power in that. So I think like making this fairly scary decision to tell my own story, to begin it by positioning myself again as part of a bigger thing. It takes the heat out of that for myself. It makes it more not about me, it's about us now. Yeah. And because I have, the same thing, because I have felt seen by them, then hopefully somebody can feel seen by me. It's going forwards, and then it loops and comes back around. But so it takes the pressure off. Oh, what am I doing? I'm not. It's what this is for us,
Yeah,
I think.
I thought that was the idea of history, because history obviously gets construed along the ways based on how it's told, what's kept back, and agendas and where you're hearing history from. So it's the idea that the queer community is a newer thing, and it's out of, you just read the headlines and it's like, and I remember going to India last year, and I was on the kind of, I can't remember what they're called, like the tuk-tuk bikes, but and then we went past a trans woman, a kind of community of them sort of standing by the roadside, and he said to me, they're a gift from God. And he was like, they've been chosen. And I was like, it's like, right? And I was like, and I was just thought that was so I'd not heard that before. You know, I expected to have an awkward conversation, and then that made me think about, you know, history and cultural history as well.
Yes. In other cultures, a trans person in your family is a blessing. A trans person is, there is an ability there to have a perspective that, I can put it like this. If you've only ever lived in the place you were born, you never really know how much of that place you are. For example, I never lived anywhere but London. I never lived anywhere but London. Yeah. And then for a year and a half, I went and lived in the mountains between France and Spain, in the foothills of the mountains, middle of nowhere. And it was only once I left that I could see how British I was, or I could see how London I was. I could observe my nationality because I was in a place that wasn't where I was from, right? And it's the same with gender. If you've never left one gender, you don't know what the implications of the conditioning of that gender is. But if you've been estrogen dominant and testosterone dominant, you're in this amazing place to have insight into what is estrogen, what is testosterone, and what am I? Like, what is gender? What is hormone? It's like so many conversations that people have when they're just infuriated by the opposite gender. Why are they like this? Why do they do it? Like, we literally can tell you. Yeah. Like, we know. We've lived this.
Yeah, yeah.
But, I mean, that's just a bit more of a kind of like a basic understanding of it. But in other cultures, the role of a trans person is, it's a beautiful thing. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
It's extremely beautiful.
So I always think of like colonization, and I think there's so much things that were introduced, you know. There would have been places where there was no such thing as female, male or other. It's a construct in some senses. Obviously
it's about property law.
Yeah.
That's why we have it. Because a woman belonged to a man. Because of ownership of land.
Yeah.
It's like, it is colonialism. That it's Western imperial, like high capitalism that has had this effect. You know, I think maybe that's I kind of almost cringe at myself saying that, but like, that is the reality. That the definition of a person by law along those lines fed into this system. And that's also what I mean about history. When you live in a city and you can feel things, but you don't necessarily know what it is that you're feeling. It's the same. These imprints, they remain.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. And I heard this fantastic speaker at Trans Pride, June Lamb, they were talking about this exact thing in the most beautiful way. And I'm going to send you the speech because I would love you to link to it, because it is incredible. It just like had me in floods of tears because of this exact thing. It's like, it reminds you when you come out of the perspective and you're reminded of like the eternity of the experience, and it's just a relief feeling, isn't it? It's like,
I understand that, you know, to find one's own history in through their lens in the way that they need to find it and not be told it, I think is freeing. It can be freeing for the decisions that you go on to make. I draw down from the well where it gathers. Time is a river that carries and buries. If you wait for the right time, you'll never be ready. But sometimes every cell of my skin feels too heavy. I love the idea of, again, the imagery of like drawing down from the well. And it comes up twice on the album. So it also comes up in the song Everything All Together. And sometimes, you know, like I feel like hip hop gets unfair rap in terms of like we're really harsh on MCs and like what they say, and if they say the same thing, you know, or they talk about the same thing. But there's something really cool that when listening to the album, you bring back lines.
Yes. Oh, I'm so happy you asked that. So Everything All Together is a song in the middle of the album, and I've taken one line from every single song on the record, like, and I've made like a kind of master poem. So I'm obsessed with what happens when you take lyrics out of their context and you put them next to lyrics, they're kind of sibling lyrics, and they do this dance where they reveal the core meanings of the text by this kind of application of repetition, which you use to get in a trance state. Like, it's an ancient form of using words as a bridge to an experience, which is trance state. And I do it live all the time. I'll get to like 70 minutes into my set and there's a moment where I'll just take lines from every single song that people have heard that night and just start putting them into this new context. And what happens is you get in this like You start to see pictures. You're like, because you remember, oh, I've been there. That belongs to this other song that we were in. And now it's like, it's this kind of like cacophony of like word experience that happens. And then what we did in the studio was we took the session files for every single song, and we like took almost at random the snare from that song, like the little guitar loop from that song, a little bit of the horns from that song, and we made like a kind of master loop. So what you're hearing on that song is something from each song musically. That's what that loop is.
Wow.
And then a line from each song, but reformatted to create like a trailer.
Wow, that's genius.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's genius.
It was so cool to do it. We did it right at the end of the session. I was saying to Fraser, like, I've got this idea. Get the session up, and like,
and it sounds beautiful. Like even if you take out the
beautiful.
lyrics, the production of it sounds beautiful.
That's like the soul of the album speaking.
Yeah.
That's what you're hearing. You're hearing the well where it gathers, you know, because we've just taken. It's amazing. I really recommend it. If anyone is like making a record, it's a cool experiment.
And then you put it kind of slap bang in the middle, and it just reaffirms the themes of the album. It's like, this is what the album is about. It's, you know, you talk about the bit, talking to your younger self.
Yeah.
That's something that comes up, you know, a lot. Thinking of yourself in the jacket, you know.
Yeah. It's amazing because what happens is, it's like the album tells you what it's about. That's why I say it's like a trailer. Because it's exciting. You're like, you have this, like, exactly as you said, it's like, yeah, I've heard that line before. Like, and exactly as you say, you might be like, why is a rapper saying the same thing again? Like, you know, obviously you wouldn't do that. So then it's like, well, this must be intentional.
Yeah, and then that changes the dynamic of it. Do you feel like maybe your work in other realms has allowed you to be that playful in music? I was listening to a podcast, a years-old podcast with Special Request, and he was sort of talking about when he goes into the studio, he needs to take away his perceived perception of what everyone else is going to think about him in order to make the music that feels the truest to him. You know, his perceived thing that people might think he's selling out, or people might think he's doing this, or people might think he's this kind of producer. And I wonder, for you, having worked in so many different mediums, when you go into the studio as a rapper and as a musician and an artist, are you able to shed like the perceived nature of what it means to be those things?
Yeah, it goes back to what we were saying about getting out of the way of it, you know? Like, expectation is the enemy of creativity. Any expectation, well, it just hinders the process. But what I can say is, all the work that I've done in the other forms, I carry with me. So there's things that I know because of the work that I've done as a novelist, or the work that I've done as a writer of drama or dialogue. And it's not like I'm reaching for it, but it's just there. It's just like my foundation.
That's your DNA.
It's just in there. And then I've been working on a novel at the same time as writing this record. And what I love about having the two things going at the same time is I can take all my frustration out from like writing a novel, which is so hard, to like in the studio with Fraser writing a 16-bar lyric and just trying to put everything into this like really brief, punchy, like exciting 16 bars. The two things, they hold each other, and they allow me to just like really enjoy where I'm at. My creative personality needs, and my ADHD means that I need all these different things in order to like totally be present in each one. Then my hyperfixation can just like burn because I know that I can kind of refresh my palette over there. Yeah. Once I'm out of the studio, but it's like
each one becomes play. That might have been frustrating, but I'm playing here. That's frustrating, but I get to play here. Or that I think music's
my favourite.
Yeah.
Not my favourite. It's the most instinctive, or it's where I feel most excited. Also, it's so collaborative, which I love. And the rest, I kind of visualise them all as having different. They come from different parts of my body or my ethereal body. Like I kind of know the ideas. They sit in different places, and I know that that's a lyric, that's a character, that's dialogue. Like that's a longer story, like up there. You know, it's
I'll
like,
come to that in a minute.
Yeah.
I love the book, the house that the bricks built.
The bricks that built a house.
The bricks that built the house. I remember reading it 2016. I think I took it on holiday. Yeah. And I loved I loved knowing the places where it was written, the locality of it. I was able to, and the characters were so beautifully told and so real. They felt like real people that I knew or would know or would come across.
Yeah, it's mad.
What's so with the album being very personal, and when you do your poetry, is it also personal or is it more objective? And then is your novel writing imaginative?
The novel that I'm working on now, I had a quote stuck up on a studio wall, which is attributed to Ted Hughes, who's a poet who I love. And he said, write what you can't bear to admit. Write what you can't bear to admit. So I was like, that like thundered through me when I heard that. Also, nobody should be condemned. That's an instruction to myself to make sure that the characters are full. And also, you are what you do repeatedly, which is attributed to Aristotle. I'm interested in habits and how we can, through the application of repetition, we can escape our flaws by implementing new patterns of behavior. So these are the things that were like driving the force. And the thing about the novel is you have to do a lot of like planning. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's so much brain work of like what time, that all of the rules that are happening now in this world that we don't think about, like time, gravity, space, like the things that make the world function, electricity, like whatever that's happening that makes us feel like we are in reality, there has to be that same like level of like rules to adhere to in the fictional world that you've created. So time, otherwise people won't believe it.
Yeah.
The story can't relax into its like space. So you've got to do all this mad plotting of like where people are from, what they've been through. If one little thing didn't happen to them that you thought happened to them when they were 10, that's going to change who they are at 35. Like, and you have to just work forwards and backwards through time, through space, through like genealogy. It's like, it's kind of incredible.
Yeah.
And it brings you into this place of very deep communication with people that they're not real.
Fictional.
But they are real.
Yeah.
The studio that I work in, there's a lot of people playing music in that studio. It's amazing. It's in Hither It's like lots of bands are in there
It's a
rehearsing.
special studio. I know what you're talking about.
I know what I'm talking about. So I'll be in there like all day. Like,
and you write everything in there?
Yeah, that's where I've been writing this novel. And I'll come out of there and I'll be in there for 15 hours. Like, and I'll come out and there'll just be like a band. I can just hear them through the wall. I'm like, oh yeah.
For Joe Armand Jones.
Yeah, it's just like, there's people. And then you have a chat with someone and you're like, because there comes a point when you're writing fiction where you stop telling the character what to say and you start hearing them talk to each other.
Wow.
And then you're like, that's when it gets real. Or when you start dreaming their dreams.
Yeah.
And then you wake up and they're not there. So what's been amazing, my long way of saying this is that then having access to then at the end of the day just hanging out outside the studio with people that have been playing music all day, it like, chills me out. It's like, okay, back to reality.
A different reality.
Yeah.
On the subject of repetition, I just want to read a little bit from Everything Called Together.
Yeah.
So I draw down from the well where it gathers, the illusion is heavy, and it takes a maverick to stand knee deep and keep pouring. Life force in a formless void. Sitting in the waiting room, all I can see is a room full of fallen leaves, dreaming of the tree, saying, I don't want to give you everything you've given to me.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Because that is like 8 different lines from 8 different songs that have been like, there's like an incredible like thing that happens when you take a line out of its context and and it's finished by another line.
Yeah.
So I draw down from the well where it gathers is from I stand on the line, but then like knee deep and keep pouring, life force in a formless void. It's like that's 2 different lines that now have a communication to each other.
Yeah, I'm still blown away by that.
I love it.
I really
it really buzzes me up. I'm like, yeah, it's a very exciting kind of exercise, you know.
Yeah, and was it a challenge to write from such a personal place, these last two albums, you know. Because I remember, you know, when I would have thought about your words before, away from music, I always thought, you know, politically driven, like life-driven observation about the world and where we're at and the humanity.
Yeah. Rent a conscience.
Rent a conscience, yeah.
That's what I used to call it.
Rent a conscience, I like that. What's the...
Just because they'll be like, I'll get a booking to go to some place.
Yeah.
And be like, everything's really fucked.
Yeah, I think you did that at a festival.
Do you know what I mean? Get my £50 to go home.
Pay your rent. And then we'd be like, the festival, like, it is fun.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry,
and then now your thing is making bangers for people to cry to.
Yes, that's it. Emotional bangers.
Emotional bangers. But was it a challenge to turn inwardly?
Do you know what? Like, I have been encouraged to do this by like quite a few people. Rick Rubin was like, I want you to write from the first person. And like, only Dan, because Dan just wants me to just do whatever feels good to me. Wouldn't have like, he never encouraged anything other than the force that was flowing through the room at the time. But Rick was like, I want you to write from the first person. But what I have to say is that I wasn't living in the first person. It was very difficult. Like, it's hard to tell your story if your story is like on hold. You're in all this pain and you can't really accept. I used writing as an escape from my body. Like, I used music. That's why I think I went so hard into it as a teenager, because it was a place where it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt to be there, and it hurt to be in the world. So all this to say that what I've been going through in my transition is transformative. It's incredible. I can now exist in my body. I'm alive.
Yeah.
You know, if I feel, and that started. Line as a curve, I was kind of on my way. I'd come out, like I was living in my truth, and the music starts to feel different. The like Traps and Lessons it's painful. That album is painful. There's beauty in it, but you can feel it's like. And then Fraser T. Smith, who's the producer of this record, he said to me, "What is it that only you can tell of all the lyricists working in this country? Only you can tell your story. Only you. You're the only person that's been through it." And because he was coming to me like fresh, like me and Dan have known each other 10 years. We're very close. We're like family. But Fraser just met me now. And so I suppose the fact that he wasn't attached to any other version of me, he was just looking at me in the present, and he wanted to know. He just wanted me to tell my story. And if it had been anyone else, maybe I would have felt like, oh no, that's, is it exploited? You know, there's some part of me that resisted that in the past. But because it was Fraser, and he's so considerate, he's so generous, like his perspective is so specific and so expansive. And I just wanted to go. I wanted to just do it. He said, you told me this story about Stormzy, because they made Gang Signs and Prayer together. And he said, what everyone was expecting Stormzy to do was make an album of like bangers, like club bangers, like, you know, bravado, wordplay, like big bangers. It would have been huge. And what Stormzy decided to do was like show the expansive nature of his manhood and personality. Yeah. And as well as making those bangers, he also wanted to talk about his faith. He also wanted to talk about his mother. He wanted to show himself in all his breadth. And that's why that album did so much for so many people, because he showed up to be like, this little narrow part of me that is acceptable to everybody, that I can do that, but also like, look at this beautiful person exhibiting and being vulnerable and exhibiting their excellence in this way. And like when he told me about that, it was like, oh, I get it. It was a real moment where I was like, okay, I get it. And he was talking about Dave as well in a similar way, about psychodrama, being like, the decision to actually reveal, you know, and how profound that is for people when you show up, that they, you know, that does something for people. So I was like, okay, because there was a reason why. It wasn't just somebody saying, tell your story for no reason.
Yeah, like give me your trauma, like, no.
Exactly, exactly. So then this song, that's me going, all right, let me try that from the place that I'm in now. Now that I live in the first person, let me try and write in the first person, you know?
I want to pull out another bit, which I think, is very
Yeah.
hard hitting and personal. With all the problems that we have to contend with, why are trans bodies always on the agenda? I'm alive, 35 years, dying to breathe, was on my knees, fighting panic at the back of the stage, looking for salvation in the crowd, trying to hold it up, but I couldn't hold it down. I was swimming, but the waters were rising, terrified. If I told the truth and stopped hiding and said what I couldn't bear to say to myself, I would sacrifice everything I'd made for myself.
Yeah.
I wanted to go where the conversation naturally went, and not to be like, tell me your trauma. How hard has it been?
Yeah.
Because that's not a full-rounded story.
Yeah.
Either. And this is a celebratory album as well, and an album, of resilience. But what I think you do a really great job of, which is what is needed, is when you speak about your experience, you don't have to understand everything to know that somebody was in pain. And this process has been a painful process, but also a beautiful process to get to where you are now, and an experience. And you can feel that in the music. And I feel like, how can you have any ill will to somebody going on a journey that's needed for them?
Oh, that is so beautiful to hear you say that. Because that is my hope, really. That rather than people being like, I don't understand that, or somehow that's a threat to me, or this political ideology that exists around transition, it's like, actually, we're just people. We're just people trying to live. We're just literally trying to be alive.
Yeah.
Because there will come a point, I think, if you're holding it down and it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to live, or am I just going to die? Basically, to be honest, and I think that if you can remember that outside of this weird noise that's being projected around bodies, that it's just people. We're just people. It's no threat to anybody else. Cis people are beautiful, beautiful. Trans people are beautiful. How beautiful to be able to sit in a room and not feel pain. How beautiful.
Yeah.
How beautiful. And the thing is, pain is a part of life. A lot of people are in a lot of pain. Suffering is, it's something that we have to live through and deal with. But I feel like what this unique position that I'm in, where lots of different kinds of people listen to my work, for some reason or another, people might check for my work that they might not have any other access to any other trans person. People listen to my work that are into, I don't know, poetry or theatre, or quite random collection of people. And if I can just articulate gently and with love, I've kind of got this Trojan horse situation because I'm acceptable. And so people listen in funny places like the National Theatre. It's so funny. So I'm just thinking, well, Statue in the Square came out, and we got this letter came from this person who'd wrote into my management. I'm not on social, so I haven't been watching how it reacts with people there, but I got this letter, and it was this woman saying, I've just heard your song on the radio. I've listened to it 3 times now. Can't stop crying. It's made me feel like I totally, finally understand my child's transition. I now understand that their gender is not actually anything to do with me. And I was like, just the idea that just that kid. Sometimes you can hear from somebody else rather than you can hear from
people that are
close to you.
Yeah.
If you've had a row with your partner or something.
You can't hear them sometimes.
And then you watch a film and there's 2 lovers on the thing and you're like, oh, I get it. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I behaved like that. It's you just need...
perspective.
You need another way in because things are too hot. And I thought that was if nothing else, that made me think the song wanted to be sung. Do you know what I mean? For that moment.
There's a documentary on BBC on the iPlayer. You can still watch it. I think it's still quite long to watch it. About a year left to watch it.
Oh, cool.
Came out in 2023. A great documentary that follows you. Going on tour and stuff. and you're with Giles Quake.
Yeah.
You were, friends with since you were. I didn't realise how far the friendship went back.
Yeah,
like
we were
your
little babies.
teenage bedrooms. Yeah. You believed the music you were making then was going to change the world, or you had to change the world with your music. And I thought that was just like, I love that conviction at that age. And do you still believe that?
It's so crazy, isn't it? It's like, I think for everybody, like the things that you do as a teenager, they live in you as you get older. Like I couldn't do those things now. I couldn't have that conviction now. But I don't need it now because I had it then. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't go up to a bunch of strangers at the bus stop and just be like, yo, listen to my lyrics. I just wouldn't do it. I suppose you don't need to do that anymore because that's what the internet's for.
Yeah.
It's like everyone can do that. But
there was a conviction there.
There was like, it was my life force. It was everything. I was busking. I was doing like 4 or 5 shows a night. Because it gave me purpose. We would turn up to a party, me and Giles, me and Quake, and we'd bring the sound system, and it gave me a reason to be in the party. You get like, maybe you have the same thing with DJing. It's like you're there, you're part of it, but you're also like conducting it. So it gives you this perspective on things. It brings you closer to things, but also it's kind of safe. If you're like a like weirdo like I am, like all my different like neurodivergencies and like
it could be the life of the party, but not the life of the party.
Yeah, it was like there was a purpose, there was a function. But like the thing about saving the world, like now, actually, what I feel like is like this album. I don't have any fear about where it goes. Like I'm so grateful for the process of making it. I'm so glad that it chose me, this album wanted to be made, and I'm so glad that it chose me to make it. I had such a good time making it. I had such an incredible time writing these lyrics and like rhyming and just in the studio, and Fraser's like beautiful studio and the music, and I just feel so grateful. Yeah. This is my 5th album. I understand that it's a big thing to be able to do that. And also it feels like an arrival. It feels like a new beginning. So how incredible.
To have that at this year. Yeah. We said that after the Six Music Festival. We were lucky enough to, after the Six Music Festival, Kae performed in Manchester, and we went to say hi, and it was me, Grimmy, and Hugh Stevens, and we all and we all got really shy in the corridor. We're like, you go first. Oh, like, Jess, will they want us to speak to him? Is he going to let us in? Like, and then
it was really nice.
Hugh Stevens stole the set list. He found the set list on a piece of paper. He's like, oh, guys, let's all have one of these. And then you signed them for us. Because you did something like that was so wild on stage that you transformed everybody in that room.
But it's just, the thing is, it's just incredible that this craft that you dedicate your life to, that is still such a mystery. Like, I still don't really know how or why it all happened, but all I know is that I absolutely adore this. I adore it. I love it. I live for it. It gives me so much. I was talking to my friend about this, like, it's the medicine, creativity. It's the medicine. And it's the medicine because when you look at people who don't have access to it, you can see how unwell they are. You can see it. People don't have access to creativity for loads of reasons, because they think they don't deserve it, because life is too stressful, because like stuff's going on in their brain that makes it really painful and tough to exist in their thoughts. But actually, we all have a place in our brains that doesn't hurt, all of us. And when you have access to this thing, when you've got a life that is a creative life, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're living as a like artist, but just if you have creativity in your life regularly, it is so beautiful. Yeah. It's so beautiful. And it just makes everything feel like you've just got this ability to process and channel and deal with stuff. And I just feel grateful. I mean, it's just a bit of a cliche even to say it, but sitting here talking to you about my lyrics, it's like, it makes you realise it's real. All this stuff that you do because you're just crazy about it, then it has this manifestation. Suddenly it feels inevitable. As soon as you've written the song, it feels inevitable. But in the process of being down there making it, it could have gone anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to be free to commit to the unknowing, right? You have to go into the studio and be free to commit to the idea that you don't know what's going to happen when you leave the studio. That's pretty cool. Okay, I think this is a good line that follows what we've been speaking about.
You're really good at this.
Yeah, I love just like coming back. I thought that's what helps actually, is coming back to the lyrics.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
amazing.
It's powerful. Thank God for the multitudes in us, the younger selves that will not give up, even when we're inclined to. If you turn your back on the light for too long, the light doesn't die, it just stops trying to find you.
Yes, I'm so glad you asked about that lyric. Okay, so what we were just talking about, the younger selves that will not give up, even when you're inclined to. That's what I was saying. Like, that kid that would not stop. That's why I'm here. And making this record was like going back to that kid and being like, keep going. That's what it felt like. This record is why that kid wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
Because, like, somehow they knew this is where I was going. But I didn't know. But I knew. I always knew. And then the other thing is, if you turn your back on the light for too long, the light doesn't die, it just stops trying to find you. That was something that was said to me. I was at... I used to do these poetry gigs, Rent a Conscience. I used to go anywhere they'd send me. I had a gig in Latvia, in Riga, at a warehouse party. And I turned up. I was in a bad place in my life at the time. I was drinking too much. I wasn't well. I was not happy. And I turned up at this gig. I don't even know what was going on. Why was I there? I don't know. There was loads of DJs playing, people trying to have a good time. And then it's like, here comes the poets. And you're just like, I'm so sorry, everybody. Like, fucking hell. And then you just get up, you got to do your thing. And I was drinking throughout the performance. And I was rapping, I was drinking. And this woman came over and she was like, why are you drinking on stage? I was like, I hadn't even thought of it. I was like, oh yeah. She was like, it's disrespectful.
Ooh,
But she was deep, this woman. She just found me. We like locked eyes in the party. I was like, oh, what is this? Like, I didn't know if it was like a vibe or... And then she was like very enigmatic, very striking woman. She kind of just got me in this corridor. She said, it's disrespectful, not to the audience, but to the life force. I was like, you know what, she's actually right. And then she said, if you turn your back on the light for too long, the light doesn't die. It just stops trying to find you. She said that to me. She saw me turning my back on the light. Yeah. Fucked, like out of my mind, not happy, uncomfortable.
Not connecting, trying to
get
through.
And doing all these lyrics about like deeper worlds and, you know, I've got all this stuff to say, but I'm not living it. And she saw that. And for some reason she said that to me. This must have been 18 years ago.
Wow.
I've never forgotten. All the things in my life I've forgotten. Like, basically everything. I forget everything apart from my lyrics and... what that woman said to me in a warehouse in Riga. And for ages, I didn't understand it. If you turn your back on the light for too long, it's like, it's still there. Like, the light, the goodness, the holiness of creativity is still there. Like, you can be destructive even in your creativity. It doesn't leave you. It just stops trying to find you. You have to make the first step.
You've got to find the light.
Somebody said to me, if you take one step towards yourself, the universe takes 2 steps towards you. And transition is that. It's like, actually, I'm going to stop hiding. I'm going to start living. I'm going to honour the life force inside me and actually be here in life.
Yeah.
And then since making that step, it's true. The light is back in my eyes. You know, the universe is looking for me again. And
it radiates, like, it's infectious, I feel like, you know, from listening to the album, seeing you on stage, sitting here with you. You know,
it's like, it's a love story. It's good. It's not a sob story.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, how beautiful.
Yeah.
And then it charges the room up with like, it's a good feeling, I think. Yeah.
And it makes, I don't know, you know, we can get so caught up in the day-to-days of life, and I think it just reminds us to live.
Yes.
In the truest way that's to us. So I honestly... incredible album, self-titled, Kae Tempest, 5th album, and we broke down Stand on the Line, the opening track. Would you say that you now feel free, personally and professionally?
I'm trying to get there in terms of like, personally, I'm trying to get there. It's a journey, isn't it? You're never there. Yeah. There's a lot I need to learn. There's so much to learn, but at least I know how little I know. You know what I mean? I used to think I knew it all. That's a surefire way to never know anything. And then, like, creatively, yeah, I think my relationship with my ideas is it's beautiful. Like, me and these ideas, we spend a lot of time together, and it's like we know each other pretty well, and there is freedom in having done each of these forms, having gone through it all so many times, there is some freedom that comes when you know the process, so that you can just think about the ideas. You don't. It's what happens is I have all these ideas. I know that I can't think about one because I don't have space. So at the minute it's like album, novel. Now that album's out, then it's live show. That's a different part of my creative personality. Then the novel will come out. And then now there's all this space in my peripheral, so I can start thinking about these ideas that have been like here, but I can't look at them. So they're coming to like there, and it's like, you're next, and then you can come to there. And when you're there, that one can come around to there, and I can probably work on you two simultaneously. And then there's probably a little one that I can squeeze in there. So I'm in this relationship of service, I think, with the ideas.
Yeah.
Which is freedom in a way, but also it's like, it's also kind of not.
Yeah, I think I see it as freedom to have the choice to be able to act on the ideas. We always ask for a line from the song for you to leave the people, the listeners, with. What line would you pick and why?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that one. If you turn your back on the light for too long, the light doesn't die. It just stops trying to find you. And beautiful that it's actually one that was said to me by somebody else. Everything that I've been talking about, it's not about me. I just get out of the way. Like, you know, it's about us, like this collection of beings and people trying to exist simultaneously. But I think what's beautiful about that line is it's like, when you're in a bad place, it's not forever. You know, it gives some agency.
Definitely. Thank you, Kae Tempest.